Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're looking into something, well, pretty fundamental to getting things done. Self-discipline.
Mm-hmm.
We hear a lot about talent,
Mm-hmm.
that being the key thing. But what if that's not the whole story?
Yeah.
Our sources today really argue that discipline, that's the real driver.
Absolutely. We often focus on the flashy results, the skill that looks effortless, and we just label it talent.
Right.
But when you dig a bit deeper, like our sources do, you almost always find this backbone of consistent, disciplined effort.
Yeah.
And it makes you think, doesn't it? Why is it so automatic to, say, brush your teeth or, pay that bill
Oh,
online?
yeah, total autopilot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then applying that same kind of automaticity to our bigger goals, our dreams, that
Yeah.
feels so much harder. Why is that?
That really is the core question, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And our source material digs right into that. It's not like we can't form habits. We obviously can.
Mm.
So our mission today really is to move past just thinking, oh, I need more willpower, and actually get into the nuts and bolts of how you build that solid discipline for the stuff that really matters to you.
Exactly, because the usual story, it frames discipline as this constant struggle, right? It's just
Yeah.
forcing yourself.
Gritting your teeth, yeah.
But our sources, they really challenge that. They point out some common myths that actually get in our way when we're trying to build discipline.
Okay, let's unpack those myths. And the first big one that stood out to me was this idea that discipline is willpower, just pure mental force.
Right, it's this unlimited well you can draw from.
But the analogy they use is so much better. Willpower is more like a, battery, maybe. It drains.
Or a muscle that gets tired, yeah. If you're always relying on just forcing it, you're going to burn out. It's just not sustainable.
So what's the alternative then, according to the sources?
It's about systems. Instead of draining that mental energy constantly, true discipline comes from building smart systems into your life. Making the good choice the easy choice, almost the default. So you need less willpower day to day.
That makes a lot of sense. And that leads right into the second myth, doesn't it? This idea that you need motivation first.
Well, definitely. We all do this, right? I'll start working out when I feel motivated. I'll write when inspiration strikes.
Guilty is charged.
But motivation.
Oh, yeah.
It's totally unreliable. It comes and goes whenever it feels like it. You can't build consistency on something so flaky.
Flaky, yeah. Good word. So discipline is more about just doing it, regardless of how you feel.
Pretty much. It's about committing to the action, the process, day in, day out, whether you're feeling it or not. It's about the schedule, not the mood.
Okay. And the third myth, the perfection trap.
Right. This idea that being disciplined means never messing up, never skipping a day, never having an off moment.
Which is totally unrealistic, of course.
Completely. And it sets you up for failure because the moment you do slip, and you will because life happens, you feel like you've blown it.
And then you just give up.
Yeah.
Well, broke the streak. Might as well eat the whole cake.
Exactly that cycle. Our sources really stress that setbacks are normal, like missing one workout. It doesn't cancel out the previous month of workouts.
That's the overall pattern that matters.
Yes. Consistency over the long haul, not this impossible ideal of perfection.
Okay, so if we ditch the willpower myth, stop waiting for motivation, and accept imperfection, how do we actually build this unshakable self-discipline they talk about? This is where it gets really interesting with things like the Navy SEAL method.
Yeah, that term sounds pretty hardcore, doesn't it?
A little bit.
But the core idea behind it, called the 40% rule, is fascinating. It basically suggests that when your mind is telling you, I'm done, I'm exhausted, I can't do anymore,
Yeah.
you've probably only used about 40% of what you're actually capable of. Your mind wants to quit way before your body or potential actually does.
Wow. Okay. That's quite a thought. So how do we, ordinary folks tap into that extra 60% without actually joining the Navy SEALs?
Well, the sources break it down into some practical techniques.
Mm-hmm.
One of the simplest but really effective is the 2-day rule.
Oh.
The rule is just never miss doing your chosen habit 2 days in a row.
Yeah.
So you skip the gym today, fine. But tomorrow you have to go. No excuses.
I like that. It builds in a bit of flexibility, but stops one missed day from turning into a whole missed week.
Exactly. It's a safety net against falling off the wagon completely.
Makes sense. What else is in this toolkit?
Another really powerful one is the identity shift. This is about changing how you talk about your goals and ultimately how you see yourself.
How so?
So instead of saying, I'm trying to wake up early, you start thinking and maybe even saying, I am an early riser, or I am someone who works out.
So you frame it as who you are, not just what you're trying to do.
Precisely. You embed it in your self-concept. It makes it feel more natural, more aligned to actually do the thing. Acting against it starts to feel weird.
Yeah, I can see how that would create a stronger pull. Okay, what else?
Then there's temptation bundling. This is kind of clever. You pair something you want to do with something you should do, but maybe don't enjoy as much.
Okay, like what? Give me an example.
Like maybe you only let yourself listen to your absolute favorite podcast while you're doing chores, or you only watch your guilty pleasure TV show while you're on the treadmill.
Huh. So you're linking the reward directly to the less fun task.
Exactly. You leverage the thing you enjoy to pull you through the thing you resist.
Smart. Okay, one more piece to this Navy SEAL method.
The last main one is the 10-minute rule. This is for those times when you just feel massive resistance to starting something. It feels too big, too daunting.
We've all been there.
Right. So you just make a deal with yourself. I'll just do it for 10 minutes. That's it. 10 minutes. Then I can stop if I want.
And the idea is?
The idea is that starting is often the hardest part. Once you overcome that initial inertia and just do 10 minutes, you often find you build momentum and it's much easier to just keep going.
Breaking down that initial barrier. Yeah, that makes sense. And they mentioned a pro tip, too, related to tracking.
Oh, yeah. Tracking your streaks. Super simple, but powerful. Just visually keeping track, putting X's on a calendar, using an app, whatever works for you.
Why does that help so much?
It taps into our desire not to break a chain. Once you see like 10 days in a row marked off, you really don't want to be the one to break that streak. It becomes its own little motivation.
Don't break the chain. Okay. So those are some pretty potent strategies. But the sources also get down to some really practical, maybe even slightly unusual daily tactics, right?
Absolutely. Things you can literally start doing tomorrow. One example they give, which might make some people wince, is cold showers.
Ooh, okay. Why on earth would you do that?
It's not really about cleanliness, obviously. It's about training your brain. You're intentionally doing something uncomfortable for a brief period.
Right.
And the idea is it teaches you to tolerate discomfort, to push through that immediate urge to seek comfort. It sort of builds that mental muscle for facing harder things later. Discomfort equals growth, basically.
Okay, embracing the suck a little bit each day. Got it. What else?
Another one is digital fasting. Specifically, things like keeping your phone off, or at least away, for the first hour or two of the day.
I can see the appeal.
The goal is to start your day proactively, focusing on your own priorities, your own thoughts before you get sucked into emails, notifications, social media, that whole reactive vortex.
Reclaiming that initial focus. Yeah, that sounds valuable. And there was one more, a very tactile strategy.
Yes, the paperclip strategy. I love this one for its simplicity. You get 2 jars. Put a set number of paper clips, maybe 100 in one jar.
Okay.
Every day you successfully complete your chosen habit, let's say, writing for 30 minutes, you move 1 paper clip from the full jar to the empty jar.
So you physically see the progress accumulating.
Exactly. It's tangible, visual proof of your consistency. Really satisfying to watch that second jar fill up.
That's great. It's so simple. So the big picture message from all these techniques, these methods, it seems to be that discipline isn't something you're just born with.
Not at all. That's a crucial takeaway from our sources. Discipline is presented very much as a skill, like learning guitar or cooking or anything else.
It's something you practice and get better at.
Precisely. It can be developed, it can be trained. You use these strategies, you practice consistently, and you strengthen that discipline muscle.
That's actually really hopeful, isn't it? It means it's not a fixed trait. If you feel undisciplined now, you can actually learn to be more disciplined.
Absolutely. It's not about judging your past self. It's about applying the right techniques going forward.
So for someone listening now thinking, okay, I want to build this skill, where's the best place to start? It sounds like a lot.
The advice is pretty consistent across the board. Start small. Really small, even. Don't try to suddenly implement 10 new habits at once.
Right. Avoid the overwhelm.
Yeah. Pick one thing. Maybe it's the 10-minute rule for one task you avoid, maybe it's the 2-day rule for exercise, or just the paper clips for one daily action.
Master one small thing first.
Exactly. Get that win, build some momentum, build some confidence. Then, once that feels more automatic, you can maybe add something else, or increase the challenge slightly. Small steps build into big changes.
Okay, this has been fantastic, super insightful. It really shifts the focus from just trying harder to being smarter about how we approach discipline. And our sources wrap up with a challenge for you, the listener, right?
They do indeed. It's called the 21-Day Discipline Challenge.
Okay, tell us about it.
The challenge is simple. Pick one specific habit, something concrete, like meditating for 5 minutes or reading 10 pages or doing that cold shower thing, whatever resonates.
Just one thing.
Just one. And the commitment is to do it absolutely every single day without fail for the next 21 days, 3 weeks.
And why 21 days? Is there magic in that number?
Well, our sources mention research, and there's some debate on the exact number, but 21 days is often cited, suggesting it's a significant period for your brain to start sort of rewiring itself.
Forming those new neural pathways for the habit.
Exactly. Giving it enough consistent repetition that it starts to feel a bit more ingrained, a bit more automatic. It's a good starting block.
Gotcha. And the final point they make isn't about discipline being this, like, harsh restriction, is it?
No, quite the opposite, actually. They reframe it. Discipline isn't punishment. It's empowerment.
How so?
It's what gives you control. Control over your time, your health, your focus, your ability to actually move toward your goals instead of being pulled around by impulses or distractions. It's freedom, in a way. The freedom that comes from self-mastery.
Discipline is freedom. I like that. That's a powerful way to think about it. Okay, so a final thought for everyone listening, building on all this.
Yeah, maybe think about this. What's just one small disciplined action you could genuinely commit to starting, let's say, tomorrow? Something that, if you stuck with it, even for just those 21 days, might ripple outwards and create positive change in ways you don't even expect right now.